And, you know, I have my snippet tool ready in case you start freezing.
Oh my God, but I don't have it of you, because now you freeze. But that's good. That's cool. Okay, let's see. Post. Oh, I see myself there. Okay, but I don't see you. Start talking.
Hello?
Oh yeah, you're there. How do
Okay.
I get you side by side? Like so that way.
Let's see, what did I do?
Oh,
I clicked
gallery? Wait.
Yes, change it to gallery view.
Okay, let's see if this is gonna work. There's like a lag. Because I'm seeing you and I. Oh, there. Yeah, now we're side by side. Okay, cool. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay. I think we're good. And I'll leave the chat. So are you seeing, you're seeing Zoom, you're seeing both of us, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then do you have your Facebook open too?
I don't, I can.
You may want to open it or just at least have it open in the phone in case we get any questions to you, because I'll open it up at the end and see if anyone has questions for you or I or that kind of thing.
Okay. Let me see.
And you probably won't see us yet because I haven't gone live yet.
Okay, that's why it's like, I don't see it.
Yeah, no, you won't see it yet. You're open? Okay, so I'm going to go live. Meeting is now streaming live. I think we're almost there. All right, I think we're there. Hello, ladies. Good evening, good evening. Okay, so full disclosure, this is my first time streaming live from Zoom. So if anyone is joining us right now and you see us, if you could just say hello down below that you can see us, hear us, okay? Because I think we see it from, there's a little bit of lag.
Yeah.
Oh, yay! Hi, Marie. Oh, Marie, that's so great to see you here. I haven't seen you in a while, too. Awesome. Okay, so you can hear me, and you see this woman beside me, so I can't just talk without introducing. So for those of you who don't know, our very own Love Makeover Insiders, extraordinary woman who I've known for a while. And you've been in the group for a while, too. Dena, do you want to say hello?
Hi. Yeah, hi, I am Dena Scott. I'm an elementary school teacher. I first learned about or met Kim about 2 years ago, I'd say, at least.
Oh my gosh, has it been 2 years? That's crazy to think about, that it's been that time. Yeah. Wow.
This June, it'll be 2 years that I did your phone in.
Oh, That's so special. And that's why I was so happy when you got back in touch. And we have a special surprise to talk about at the end. So I will start out, as you know, the theme of this is, how to be successful and date in quarantine land, as we all are in. And it is the hot topic and how to do it. I don't know, for those of you who saw my post earlier about the guy in the bubble who dated this woman, and if you have not seen it, you have got to check it out. It's very inspirational. But basically, this guy saw a girl dancing on the roof, and he liked her, and he didn't know how to get in touch with her because obviously they're not hooked up in social media. And so he took a little note, he attached it to a drone, had the drone drop it to her on the rooftop, and said, "Call me," or something like that. They got in touch, and then he has this little cute video clip of what happened when they met, and he got this plastic bubble that he wrapped himself in, and they had this bubble date. And so, I mean, it's gone viral, and it's very inspirational, and I wanted to share that story with you because we have our very own, well, it's not bubble dating. But it's pretty darn close. We have a success story, to share with you. And it's a real story. It's not just something you see in the media. And I thought this would be a really inspirational conversation to have her here and chat live. So for those of you who are just joining us, I wanted to also set the tone for tonight. I'm going to do a little bit of talk and just get you guys in a positive mindset around all of this. I know this is really challenging times, for a lot of people, and I want to acknowledge that. This isn't just affecting people in relationships, but it's affecting everybody in different ways, emotionally, socially, our health. We have to pay attention to a lot of things. And the thing that I keep focusing on a lot is that, a lot of people are focusing on the physical health, and of course that's really important. But I really want to talk about the social and emotional health is just as important, and it actually goes hand in hand with our physical health. And it relates to dating, it relates to connecting, it relates to how we feel about ourselves. And we as humans, we're not wired to be alone, yet we're forced to be in this physical isolation. And I find it so bizarre, and I wish they didn't say the word social distancing, because there's an association with that word about isolating ourselves from being social, because social distance isn't a social isolation. And that's what I want to inspire all of you with tonight, is that, and we have Dena here as a true testament, right?
Yeah.
How to do it and still stay connected, is that when you have the right mindset around it and we can use it in a way that benefits us, this is when people are having success. And it does start with your mindset, and then it goes into how you're approaching it. And it's also your perspective. I talk about those three areas a lot, but now more than ever before. Here's the irony of all of what's happening that I'm finding. I'm almost chuckling to myself, much like, what's happening with Dena, is that I've actually had more clients be successful now than they were before this all happened. And I think it's not a coincidence. I think that there are reasons for it. Number one, I'm finding that my introverts are actually thriving right now, and they're actually teaching the extroverts how to do it. I mean, so if you're an extrovert and you're listening to this, this probably feels painful. Like, oh my gosh, I can't go out. I mean, why even try to date? But on the flip side, my introverts are like, I'm in heaven. This is my home. This is where I live. Now the extroverts are being forced to get in the world of the introverts. So I think we can actually learn from each other with all of this. It's a time to pull in. It's a time to be by ourselves. And with that, we can get more focused on what it is that we really want. And that was one of the things that I was really focusing on with Dena here. And I'll have her share the story and how we got back connected and all of that. So I want to just go over a couple tips that's been really helpful for a lot of people during this time that you guys can try right away. I hope that it inspires you. I'm going to be coming on here more and more with more tips. I'm thinking about a lot of different ways that I can support you. I think also now more than ever, we need each other. I think the sense of community is more important than it's ever before. What's also interesting about this time is that here we're all scared about being isolated, yet I think we were even more isolated before. And this is forcing us to be connected in ways we've never even imagined. It's, you know, getting back in touch with loved ones, old friends, family. So please use this group as a support with each other. I know that I mean, I've been guilty. I've not been active in this group. I've been working on a lot of other things, but this is one of the benefits that's happened to me. I get to be here with you. I get to, you know, just be more involved in this group. And with that, I hope you can join me so that you get more active too. So I want to hear from you. That means even if I don't post anything, start a conversation with each other. You don't need me to start every conversation. So if there's something you're wondering about, if there's a funny movie you want to share with somebody, if you want to start a watch party and do like some fun TED Talks in here and you want to inspire other people, I want you to use this community for that. So let's go over a couple tips and then, we're going to have Dena share her story. Let's start with the mindset. So as I've been telling you, this is a beautiful time. And one of the biggest things that has been working for people is to pull in and focus on you. So if you are the kind of person that was busy all the time and didn't have time to online date or time to like have focus on building emotional connections and you were just kind of numbing out going on dates, this is your opportunity to slow down and really focus on you. I would invite you to actually sit down and write out what your goals are right now. This is what, Dena and I did, a few weeks back. And okay, so it's a different environment. It's a different time. You might be excited about exploring online dating because you never did before. Maybe it's time to reignite your old profile that has been dormant for a while. Maybe you're going through a breakup. There's a lot of breakups happening right now because people are forced to look at some issues. That there's a lot of transitions happening, but when there's a lot of transitions, that's usually the time to reevaluate what you want, going after things that really make a difference to you. Now, I know in this group firsthand, because I know a lot of you personally, that there's a lot of caretakers in here. Well, this is a time to actually get a little selfish. And what I mean by that, it's time to say, okay, what is it that I want? I've been out there people pleasing, doing what everyone else wanted, making men feel really good. But you know what? You don't have to. Now that you're quarantined, you can't do that. You can't go out and rely on the physical anymore. You can't go out and just numb out on dates. You get to force yourself to just get a little selfish, set some boundaries, and really focus on what it is you want. Is it a boyfriend that you want right now? Maybe not. Is it just you want to practice dating? Do you want to just practice flirting? Do you want to use this time to build out your profile and just, build conversations and work on your conversation skills? The more specific you get with your goals, the better you'll be able to focus on them and then accomplish them and chunk it out. Do it in increments. We don't know how long we're going to be in lockdown for. We know at least we have a month. It's probably, longer, but a month is a good chunk of time to practice one goal. So let's say that you want to practice flirting. Yes, you can flirt online. In fact, well, Dena, you can share some of your stories because this girl over here, she's a really good flirt, and that is something that's always been in your wheelhouse. Oh my God, think of the endless things you can do in the comfort of your home in a safe way and practice flirting. I'm going to be doing actually some flirt workshops for another organization, and if it goes well, I will let you know. I'll kind of have it, maybe do some private ones, or maybe I'll do it to the group or whatever. But there are some things you can do online for sure. But then do that. Let's say that's your goal. Do that for a month. See what happens. Evaluate, journal what it's like. Practice maybe 2 skills in flirting that you weren't really good at. And then see how you are in a month. If you still don't think that you got it down, you want to continue, maybe do a different aspect of flirting. So maybe you got the conversation down, but you're still not comfortable showing up feeling like sexy in your clothes. Well, the good news now is that you only have to be 3/4 sexy, right? Like, full disclosure, ladies, I'm wearing sweats down below. I'm super comfortable, but I have cute sweats on. I have these little leggings, see, so I still feel sexy, but they're comfortable. I still think it's important to feel like good in your clothes. So let's move to the second tip, because it relates to that. Take this opportunity to dress up and beautify yourself and work on self-care, because there is a tendency, and for those of you who saw my podcast newsletter that went out, if you're on my email list, I went in full confession mode, is that like I have not seen my nails look this bad in a while. Like, this is like an old manicure from 3 weeks ago. I've let some things go, and I have to say now it's affecting me. And so, I'm all about working from the outside in. This is where it gets highlighted. It really matters. I'm starting to feel that. So especially when it comes to dating, what's fun, if you're starting to set up Zoom dates, even with girlfriends, like doing happy hours, doing social events online, it gives you a reason and a purpose to take a shower, put your hair and brush it a little bit, put some makeup on. It feels good. So definitely do that. And then the third tip that I will tell you about has to do with communication. So I think one of the biggest goals that most of my clients have been finding useful is using this time to work on how to build an emotional response and more connected kind of conversation in ways of texting, in ways of IMs. It's forcing you to pace things out more. Whereas maybe before you would have a couple exchanges, but you thought he was really cute, and then you would just meet him. You have to slow down. Now with that, you can still progress, by the way, the same way you progressed before. You just have to be creative about it. So Dena's she's going to reveal a couple of the tricks and tools that she learned that we, talked about before, and then she implemented even stuff on her own. I think this is a time for creativity. You can get really fun. So with the communication piece, be playful. So not only the emotional piece, but this is your opportunity where you get to play. I mean, think about it. We're all quarantined. It's kind of humorous and funny if you think about like the things that you could talk about and do. It's forcing all the barriers to come down. I mean, look at all the celebrities that are hopping on the show. Dena and I were talking about this, where you're seeing their homes in the background. You're seeing them without makeup. Like, we are in a more authentic state. And guess what? When you're in that authentic state, that's when you have more meaningful connections with people. When you have conversations with guys now, we're taking away that stiffness on the first date of, hi, nice to meet you. And also, what do you do for a living? The Zoom camera goes on and it's like, how are you? It's like we're starting an emotion, and that's a beautiful thing. And I think, and I hope that this will apply to the outside world once Noah's Ark lands and we're through this. This is the time to build those skills. So work on your mindset, work on self-care, and get those communication skills built so that you're going to be even a better dater than before. So with that, I want to introduce my success story. Oh my gosh. Well, Dena, I'll just have you take it away. As you said in the beginning, we met like 2 years ago. And if you remember way back when, what prompted you to reach out and work with me in the beginning? Like, do you remember what you were struggling with?
Oh, I do. My self-confidence, and because I had been in 2 marriages for over almost 30 years. And so I wasn't used to dating. And I came out of that and I dated a whole bunch of people. And, I quickly went to sex right away. And I wasn't feeling like I was getting my needs met, but I didn't know how to express my needs or figure out what I needed as a person. And I felt that the only way that they would want to stay with me is if, I gave it up. And I learned pretty quickly that that wasn't a good idea. It wasn't fulfilling me as a person. And I heard one of your podcasts, and you talked about calling in and doing, a coaching session. And so I took the leap and called, and it was one of the best things that I've ever done. You changed my life drastically. You've taught me a lot of skills, how to love myself and set my boundaries and believe in me as a woman and as a person. And so at the time, we didn't work together. You gave me some tips, and we talked about that. But then you started the boot camp. And I was like, yes, I did some personal counseling that I needed to work through. And after that, I felt I needed something more to work on the other aspect. And that's when I reached out again to you last year, and I did the makeover boot camp, which was great. We had a fantastic group of ladies that I just recently reached out to them again to see how they're doing. And they're doing great. Yep. Surviving in this time of craziness. But so that went well. While in the boot camp, I met someone and we started dating exclusively. And right before the year mark, he decided that he needed to work on himself out of the blue. And so I was single again. So I was like, okay. But I looked back, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that I didn't go back to those old things that I was doing before. I didn't reach out and text all the time. If he didn't want to text me or didn't want to talk to me, then I let it go. Well, if he didn't have time for me, then, so be it. I would make time for myself and do my self-care and things like that. So that was really good. And then when I talked to him, when we finally said goodbye, I said, I can't make someone want to stay with me, and I'm not going to. So if, me being me and I can't be who you need me to be, then, I guess this is what needs to happen. So.
Before you go into the drum roll, because I know we're all waiting for the drum roll. So during that journey, when you were with the other guy, your boyfriend at the time, what were some of the skills that you were learning along the way? I mean, given where you were before and where you felt like that's the only way you could find love and the self-validation and stuff. And what did you notice about yourself as you were in it?
The one thing I noticed is that, one of the things that I learned is to speak up. And it's okay if he doesn't agree with what I say, but I still need to make sure that I'm being heard and my feelings are, and my thoughts are being expressed. Otherwise, things would never progress or, stalemate. And it's okay if he doesn't agree with it. At least I'm expressing my needs and wants. And so that was a big step for me because I'd never done that before. So that was huge.
Huge for you. That was such a big win for you,
Yeah. And feeling validated that I did do that, and okay with that, because confrontation is still my trigger. Don't want to upset anyone, want to make sure everybody's happy. Well, this time it was like, you know what? I have to be happy. It's time for me. And so that's one thing I learned from you is, you know what, and the one thing I walked away with, and I've told my girlfriends is, you know what, if he doesn't want me, there's somebody else out there that does and is worth it.
I love that you just said that.
Yes.
To me, that is the biggest win, because that's the, kind of the overarching issue that you had going in when you first contacted me is your self-worth was tied into the man and that validation you would get from him.
Right.
So now it wasn't like you were trying to get that, like as it was unraveling at the end. What I was so proud about what you did is you basically said, you know what, this isn't about me, it's about you. And if you're not going to be able to show up for me, then this has nothing to do with me. This is you. And actually, that's not the kind of guy I want to be with. And you were able to really walk away with that empowerment piece and the self-love that you got at the end. And that's really what it is about.
Yeah. And it taught, and I self-reflected for several weeks on, okay, what could I improve on? And there's still some triggers, we always go back to, but I really felt good about setting the boundaries, not accepting the crumbs, and, being okay with, what, I'm worth more than that. And I will find somebody that feels the same.
Yeah, you deserve the cake, and actually like a 5-layered cake at this point. You've earned it. Yeah. Yeah. And so I do, but talk a little bit. So what are the triggers for you, like right now? Because as we talk about your success story, I want to end with some things to pay attention to as you're moving forward with this new situationship, I'll call it.
Yeah.
What are the triggers right now still?
The moving too fast. So I have to put the brakes on and take a step back and evaluate the whole situation and where everything's at. Also, the confrontation or speaking up. If the person, says something, I don't have to always immediately jump right in and respond. It's okay to wait and think about my response and make sure he understands that that's the way I think, is that I take time, that I have to process what was said, and I might respond or comment on it later. And it's not because I'm ignoring him, it's because I need to process my thoughts. And so, yeah. and it takes a lot to express that to someone and let them know this is who I am and this is how I process and communicate.
And so what Dena's learning, and I know this also, you've done so much work with this, I'm really proud of you, is finding the vocabulary and the words to speak up and how to express yourself. And I know you're still working on that, but now with, moving forward with this new situation and whoever it ends up being in the future, the more you practice this, the easier it becomes, just like any kind of language. I talk about that all the time, like you're learning Spanish again, or you're learning German. So it is good. And I think also, well, you can talk a little bit about when you have set a boundary recently, how good it felt, like when you were speaking up, right?
Just recently today.
I know.
But something too that I've learned is using the feeling words when I'm communicating, is making sure they're understanding my feelings, not just the situation. It's how am I feeling about what's going on or about what was said. So making sure I'm using feeling words.
I want to just highlight this. And so for those of you listening, I want you to think about that for yourself, is that this is an opportunity to allow you to really reflect on how you're feeling with each date, with each interaction, with each time you show up. So for those of you who are people pleasers and caretakers, again, you're always so focused on them. And what you're learning so beautifully is now, okay, wait a second. So I'm excited about this, but okay, how do I feel about it? Is this serving me? And really paying attention to that. And that's the quarantine benefit, honestly, of what's going on right now. So, okay, so share your story. I know everyone's dying to hear.
So the win and the boundary, that happened just right before we got on. One of my a guy that I dated several years ago, contacts me once in a while, and he's like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? And I'm like, nothing, just the small talk. Well, recently he hit me up and he's like, so, how are you doing? I miss you. I miss our connection. I'm like, I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm not my mind space now where I'm just having random sex with anyone. And he's like, but I'm not anyone. And I said, but I have boundaries that I need to set for myself.
Woohoo! I know.
and then today he hit me up again and said, how are you doing? Are you self-quarantined? I'm like, yes, somewhat. And I explained. And then he's like, are you bored? And I said, no, not really. I have somebody to keep me company. And his response was awe. And so, yeah.
And how did that feel?
It felt amazing because I knew that, I wasn't going to take that from anyone. Don't hit me up when you're lonely and horny. Sorry, that's not going to happen. And my self-worth is more than that.
And every time this happens, every time you set a boundary, like you're again, that empowerment piece, like you're feeling stronger, and you're actually gaining that validation from within rather than the approval of him. Oh, yes. Well, I should be nice to him. He got back in touch, No. Yeah. No.
I don't owe him anything. That's, I learned, it's like, no, I'm just a fly on the wall or the next feather. And, what can he find next? So, yeah, it really did validate that, what? Yes, my first inkling about him was right. And so be it.
Yeah, and learning to trust yourself with all this. So now, who's this new guy? And walk everybody through like how it happened, because this is why you got back in touch.
It's Kim's fault that there's
someone. It's my fault. I take
Thank you.
So sorry.
Thank you so much. So I got back in touch with Kim, and because I was single again, and I'm like, okay, I need to figure out where I'm going to go next with dating, and I knew this coronavirus was coming down, so I asked her for help on we set up a meeting, and I was like, okay, I'm going to need some help setting up my profile. She's like, well, try Bumble, try putting your pictures up there and get started, and we'll work through what your profile says. So I put pictures up. That was it, besides my name, my occupation, that type of thing. And so I started going through swipe. I swiped on. Let me tell you, in the week and a half that I was on there, I ran out of guys within a 100-mile radius of my city. And let me tell you, I live in a big metropolitan city, 5 million people. So I was quite choosy, and I connected with someone. So we started chatting. Actually, I chatted with about 5 different guys. And one of them gave me his number. And I said, thank you. Now I'll know that it's you calling me instead of the IRS telling me that I'm wanted for tax evasion. And he thought that was great. And so then he was like, okay, when are you available for me to call? And so I let him know when I was available. And so we talked about video dating or, remote dating. So I was like, he's like, what is that? I don't know what that is. I said, well, we get on a chat and we do video. We each have a drink and talk just like if we're sitting there one-on-one at a bar or a restaurant, except you know what? It's going to be a really cheap date for you.
Wait, you see how I just want to do kind of sidebar comments of it. Do you see how she's playing with him at the same time getting to know him? And, the beginning stages were really playful. They weren't so serious, right? Like you were having this fun banter without it being like this Q&A session type of thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And another, and then I said, by the way, you don't even have to get dressed up because I'm not going to be able to see anything below your neck. So, hey, that's a win-win there.
Okay. Another pause. Flirty. That was flirty, by the way. Did you pick that up? Did you? See, I don't even think you know how flirty you are. You no. You do it without even knowing it. But that was a flirty comment, and so it gave the guy kind of ooh, you mean what's going on down there? Trust me, men are very visual, and when women comment on stuff like that, that probably like raised a little interest there. So that was good.
So we talked first, video chatted, or just regular phone call, and then we set up for a video date, and we each had drinks. And so then we also talked about doing dinner. He likes to cook, I like to bake, and I was like, all right, we're gonna make the dinner. We can enjoy it together, and I can make you cookies, and I can mail them to you if you want. So that was great. And so we talked back and forth. He likes to video call. He wants that communication. He wants that connection. And so I was getting my car fixed, or the oil change, and he happens to live by where I was getting it done. So he's like, why don't we meet in the parking lot and we can have our first date? So we met in an empty parking lot at a gym and sat and talked in our cars for a half hour. And the reason is he was getting ready. He's from Florida and he just moved out here. So he was getting ready to go back to Florida for 3.5, 4 weeks to get all of his stuff, get his house sold before he comes back. And he's like, I have to meet you in person before I leave. So we did that. And that was great.
Did you get dressed up? Like, did you spruce up a little before you saw him?
I was kind of thinking we might see each other. So I wore a cute little denim skirt with some cute little bands and a peach colored not tank top, but t-shirt like this. And it was kind of fitted. So we sat and talked. And then before he left, he was like, you have to get out of the car so I can at least see you in person. So we did it, but we kept our distance, so that was great. And then, so he's traveled to Florida. He video chatted me all the way there. He drove straight through 2 days, and he would check in with me like every time he went through a state and changed time zone. And so it has been going fantastic.
So what have you been loving about this, and how is it different than your last experience?
Well, and you had me write down my things I wanted in a relationship and things that weren't, that were good, things that I needed. And one of the first thing is a lot of communication. Phone calls or video phone calls. That is the key. And it's so easy because he's very open and honest. And I'm not afraid to speak up. And if he has a question, I'm like, yeah, I'll answer. I don't have a problem sharing with you. And I asked him, there's a survey that they did on 36 questions that are supposed to make you fall in love. And I was like, hey, would you be willing to answer these questions? And he's like, what are they for? And I said, they're supposed to make you vulnerable and open up and create, a connection between the two people. He's like, you bet. So we are on question number 11, and we started this 2 days ago.
Wow. So much there. So much there.
And the one thing I really like about this, and we both have talked about this, is he and I both tend to rush into being this sexual. And so we both agreed this is fantastic because it's going to make us see if there's a connection beyond that and get to know each other on a personal level and build that first.
I mean, there's so much there. And, as you're listening to her story, I want you to think about the elements too that were working. I mean, from the flirting to the mindset, having her really get clear on what she was looking for in a guy, what she's wanting to practice. It's kind of like what I said in the beginning. It's that mission and what you're really wanting to work on. She also, suggested some fun video dates. She got ready for that. They had fun with it. She's playing games with him, the 30 question thing. She got ready and spruced up, and they did something creative by meeting in a car, and they're already talking about more things than I think you probably talked about in your last relationship, right?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So I hope this inspires all of you that, no matter where you are in your goals, right? I mean, obviously Dena's in a different place than maybe somebody else who, is not ready to do that, but think of where you're at and know that it's about taking action so that you can get there. You can have the wins just like she did. And it took for you it all started with you just getting back in touch with me and starting the process. And,
Yes.
It was the action piece. And so nothing is going to happen staying in your cozy pajamas without the action. You can stay in the pajamas just like while you're in them, So, well, I guess first of all, we're all going to be rooting for you. I think that, it would be so fun to give us updates along the way. Any other like fun dates that you have moving forward, definitely post it in the group to inspire everybody. What is something that you're wondering about or maybe challenged with as now you're moving forward with him?
Again, it's still the making sure the communication is open and sticking with my boundaries. If there's something that's off limits, that I make sure that I speak up and don't cross that boundary just because I want to please him. So that's
really good. And, and I mean, obviously, Dena, this because I gave this to you as homework, but I'll share with the group. One thing that's going to be really like powerful for her is to check in with herself every single day and how she's feeling after she has an interaction with him. So she's used to being focused on the guy. Now she has to pull in and say, okay, how did I feel in that conversation? Did I feel heard? Did he ask me questions? How am I liking what we're talking about? All those things. So again, no matter where you are, hopefully this will kick you in the butt, ladies, and get you started with your dating success in quarantine land. Anybody have any questions that you want? I'm just going to open it up for discussion. Does anyone want to ask either Dena or I questions as we're wrapping up here? And Dena, if you see any questions that pop up before me, just let me know, because I'm getting a little bit of lag over here because of the...
Yeah, there's lag. I see that. So yeah. We haven't gotten to you asking questions yet.
Yeah. As you're thinking about them, or if you have any comments that you want to wish her luck or anything like that. But so just, moving forward, again, just expect me on here a lot more. If anybody wants any kind of help or support during this time, my offer always stands. Just hop on a call. I mean, and again, this isn't about whether or not you want to continue working with me or not. Maybe it's just like a new idea for you or something to get like unstuck with. I think a lot of times what those breakthrough calls are about is, even if I don't end up working with people, there's like one little golden nugget that just kind of like clicks with them. And maybe that's what will get you unstuck to move forward, depending on your patterns and what you want to work on in your dating life. I do have some exciting things coming up. I think I mentioned in the group, I have a 14-day Fit and Flirty challenge coming up, and I'm partnering up with this amazing guy. He's a fitness expert. We're going to start it probably the end of April. So just, keep your eyes open for that. It's definitely going to be super fun. We're combining fitness with some like flirty exercises as well to really help you ladies get into your feminine, have fun, and your sexy confidence. And then I do have, much like what Dena was in, another group, but it's a different format. So if anyone's interested, definitely hit me up or IM me, and I'm happy to, share that with you as well. And I also have an audio course coming out. I've been working on the back. I just want to have so many different things to give you guys during this time in ways that I know right now it's really scary and unpredictable, but just focus on everything every day and what you want to do. I read an interesting article that had to do with astronauts, and the astronauts were giving advice on how to be successful in isolation. And what they said, the biggest thing is keep a routine, Keep that self-care and keep the like open communication with people so that you connect socially. So that kind of echoes a little bit what I said in the beginning. Oh, is there another comment? Okay, Marie. I'm having trouble being playful with my virtual dates, but I don't think I'm flirting. Marie, I know. Okay, so there's no sexual tension. Never heard back from the one on Monday night. Well, I also have the pleasure of knowing you, and your hunch is probably right with the flirting. Well, Dena, I know, can help you with that. So, listen to some of the things she did. Remember, just some quick flirty tips. Don't be so literal in the way that you're having conversations. Remember not to be too serious. Like if he asks you a question, maybe you answer the question with a question and play a game of some sort. Make sure you're telling stories. Have, a little bit of fun. If that is too esoteric for you and it's like, well, it's easier said than done because Dena has more practice than you. I think the games are really fun to play. You could get a game online. I don't know if those of you who've listened to my podcast recently, there's a woman that I'm working with now who is also getting in a virtual relationship. And their first date was going on a dance together in a dance class that was live. And so they both joined the dance class live, and it allowed her, because she's very serious too. It allowed her to move in her body and have him see her in a whole different way. So I invite you to think about different ways that you can be more in your body and less in your head. And maybe that will help you be more playful. So. Okay.
There's also, I did a couple Friday nights ago, my girlfriends and I played virtual Yahtzee. If you like,
yeah,
because you both can open it up and take turns and give him a hard time if he rolls a really bad roll.
Oh my God, you could actually use Yahtzee and play like a fun game with it, like almost like a truth or dare. If you roll twos, then you have to say something, funny, like share a funny story. If you roll a 3, you have to share a time that you were really embarrassed. You could find a ton of these, or even the 30 questions can get a little bit heavier in topic.
Yeah.
But there are things like that on the internet where there's just like fun topics or games that you can play with each other to keep it more, fun. Oh my God, you could probably even play charades. How fun would that be?
Or that Ellen game that's the...
Yeah. Oh God, what's that called? I forgot.
I don't know.
Heads Up or something.
Heads Up, yes.
Yeah. So try to think, I think for you, a tool, a game probably would bode really well for you. So, okay. Awesome. All right, ladies. Okay, good. Yeah. So Marie, if you do that, house party. Exactly. So if you do any of those things, report back to the group and let us know what happens. All right, well, Dena, thank you so much for sharing your story and your inspiration to others. I hope it was helpful to you listening, and I will get back in touch with you when we do another one. Anyone else who wants to come on and share their success story, please get in touch with me, and I would love to share that with the group to just keep all these stories going. It really does help to hear the wins in this really trying time. So, all right. Good night, ladies.
Bye.